All right, welcome to the Krueg Show, everybody. Back with you Monday night. Hope everybody's having a great Monday. Let's be honest. Nobody's having a great Monday. We're all having a disastrous Monday because the Niners lost to the Eagles, and the Eagles are moving on to the Super Bowl, and we really didn't even get a chance to enjoy it at all. But welcome to the Krueg Show. It's been a busy Monday. We took some video calls. We'll take more video calls later on tonight. We joined Grant Cohn. Somehow in the conversation, in the middle of the live stream, in the midst of talking quarterbacks, I basically said the truth, which is that Brock Purdy's better than Trey Lance and should be the starting quarterback next year if all things being equal. And just a bunch of people were like, "Why do you hate Trey Lance?" Dude, go back, do your research, take a breath. I am the guy who wanted Trey Lance. I am the guy who openly campaigned for Trey Lance. And I like Trey Lance. To this moment, I believe in Trey Lance. But we'll get into that and why I think Brock Purdy, I don't even know why I even need to explain this really, but I'll get into why I think Brock Purdy should be the 49er quarterback going forward. But it's not an either or for me. I don't look at it like some people are like, are you a Jimmy guy? Are you a Purdy guy? Are you a Lance? I'm a Niner guy, right? So I want to see wins. So I'm pro Purdy, but I'm pro Lance and I'm pro Jimmy. So I don't have kind of like this guy or that guy kind of a mode. Anyway, we'll get into that later on. Ryan will join us in a bit. Danny would be in here as well. But we have a special guest today, and that is Nick Newman, who is a great follow on Twitter at NinerNick_22. And we were just talking before the show. Nick, welcome to the Krueg Show, man. I like you got the Giants hat. You got the Giants jersey. Is it the Giants jersey?
No, it's the Warriors World Night. Steph We Trust, the Night celebration.
In Giants colors.
In Giants colors. Shout out Warriors World. Yeah.
There you go. But Nick, good to see you, man. I've enjoyed your, what I would call very passionate, very organic takes, I should say, via video that you're putting out on Twitter. And I've always loved the fact, I love people that are real, people that are organic, people that, you may overstep the line sometimes. I'd rather somebody walk up to that line and step over it occasionally than just stay in some safe place and say only what everybody expects them to say. So you have made me laugh many times because I love that passion and it's awesome. So welcome to the Krueg Show. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, Larry. Growing up in the Bay Area, you've been on the radio airwaves for so long, and it's an honor to be on your show tonight. I appreciate it.
Well, tell me about yourself, man. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up in Brisbane, just south of San Francisco. One of the closest cities to San Francisco. It's bordering right there by Candlestick, no more than 5 minutes. So my dad had season tickets all the way throughout Candlestick. My grandpa had season tickets at Kezar 1946. So yeah, growing up in Brisbane, literally a 10-minute bike ride from Candlestick. You can see it right there from my house outside the window. Grew up, born and raised, went to Terra Nova High School out in Pacifica. The way that our high school district worked was a little funky growing up in Brisbane and getting bussed out to Pacifica. Graduated from SF State in 2018, and I've been working out in the Sunset for the last 10 years. Shout out Stonestown Family YMCA. We talked a little bit about that before the show launched. That you were once an employee over there as well.
Isn't that it's hard world to believe. That's what we have in common is that we both have worked for the Stonestown YMCA.
It's crazy.
I worked there after my senior year in high school, just giving tours and running the front desk and, signing up, little kids for swimming lessons and everything that came into, went with being at the Stonestown YMCA and their youth program. So very cool place. I always have a great affinity for it. If people don't know where it's at, I think it's 333 Eucalyptus.
Yes, sir.
And it's right there behind Stonestown Mall. And it's a really cool thing. Up top is like some building. They have some offices, but then there's like workout center with free weights and Nautilus weights. It's kind of small. It's kind of almost underground. And then there's the gym all the way back. And then you can go up in the locker rooms. They got a nice locker room area. And then they have a pool, right? Sauna. Yep.
Yeah,
steam and the
all
whole deal.
remodeled recently too. All remodeled. So if we have any followers in the Sunset District, the Stonestown YMCA, we got memberships open.
What does
It's a
it
great venue.
cost to be a member there?
Oh man, good question. I'm staff, so I don't got to pay to use the gym, luckily. But I wish I had that information off the top of my head. I'm not in the membership department, but it's a great.
It's
venue.
reasonable. It's
reasonable.
Yep. There you go. It's priced just right. So anyway, we have that in common, and then. So you also went to SF State. I'm a Sac State guy.
Okay.
But the great Joe Shasky of 95.7 The Game.
I sure do. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So Joe Shasky's grandfather and my grandfather had season tickets from Kezar from 1946 all the way throughout Candlestick. They sat up in, I believe, section 20 on the upper deck of Candlestick. Then my grandpa passed away my senior year of high school. So actually the last year, the Niners, or second to last year, the Niners were at Candlestick. But yeah, that's how I know Joe Shasky. I know him very well. We're very close.
Well, how long have you been getting on Twitter and, basically giving your reactions?
Yeah. So my whole timeline in the sports world, I was furloughed from my job at the YMCA, which I love. I mean, it's my career. It's my passion. That's why I've never seriously considered pursuing a career in sports. But I was furloughed March 2020, like many people were. And I was just trying to stay busy. And one of my friends is does some recruitment for Fan Nation, which is where all 49ers Sports Illustrated is under. And I was writing with Jose Sanchez at the time. A month later, Grant Cohn came on as the leading publisher. So I was writing with Grant all throughout the pandemic. So that's kind of how I got into the 49ers Twitter world. And when I started really growing my following and platform is last year when they lost to the Packers on Sunday Night Football, week 3, I just kind of recorded a video of myself expressing how I felt towards the game, and it took off, close to 100,000 hits, and my following started going up, and then I just made it a regular thing. And then I noticed that people were getting upset because I was only commenting when the team was losing. So then I started working in some positive rants, and people are starting to come around to that. Although people care what you have to say more when the team's not doing well. I've noticed that they tend to listen to you more when you have that outside the box opinion, talking about that line.
Well, no, it's like we like to think that we're not so pessimistic or cynical, but the reality is that cynicism and pessimism tends to register a little bit more than optimism and hope.
Definitely.
I'm not sure why, and who knows why. Probably what's wrong with the world. But I'm looking at you have almost 10,000 followers on Twitter. So man, you are blowing up.
Well, yeah, and I know we wanted
that's the number one Twitter follower at the YMCA in Stonestown. I guarantee you.
For sure. I know we're going to discuss, there's been some controversy around, that's the elephant in the room, right? Yesterday, I kind of talked about Brock Purdy, and that number was a lot closer to 10,000 yesterday than it is today, because understandably so, a lot of people disagreed with what I said in real time, and that take aged horribly. I feel terrible about what I said.
Can you tell us about what you,
so,
when was it fired off?
Yeah. So I don't want to make any excuses. Like, this is just me storytelling and providing context on the things that I said. Like, I'm not backing down from what I said. I still have the tweets posted because I can't take back what I put out there, right? So it's still there.
It's called delete. You could delete.
I could delete it, right? But it's like, I can't. People have already seen it. I want to hold myself accountable.
What's the purpose?
It's already there. People have already seen it. Like, it does nothing. It's not going to make me feel any better. Like, I know what I said. I know what had happened. But I just want to walk through everybody what happened from my perspective, right? So I'm watching the game at a crowded bar, Emporium, on Divisadero. There's not really any volume. It's hard to follow along with what the commenters are saying. And from my perspective, what I'm seeing is a quarterback that's on the sidelines. He came out of the game. He's throwing the ball back and forth. You can tell he's in discomfort. And he has his helmet on. And it seems like he's trying to get back in the game. It looks like there's a chance. And I was incorrectly really holding on to that chance, thinking, okay, Brock can do this. I think seeing him on the sideline with his helmet on, throwing the ball back and forth, it gave me a false sense of hope. And where I really went wrong was doubting Brock Purdy's toughness, because I was coming from a place of, this is the NFC Championship game. So many athletes, football players, work so hard to get to the moment that Brock Purdy is in right now. And you hear Josh Allen played with a sprained UCL this season. He was gutting it out. And of course, knowing what I know now, this poor guy had a ruptured elbow. His elbow was it was completely outside of his control. And of course, it was my fault for speculating on the injury and thinking, okay, just because he's on the sideline, he has his helmet on, he's throwing the ball back and forth, that doesn't mean he's in a place where he can go back into the game. And he ended up going back in the game. You can just tell how uncomfortable he looked. But it was a horrible take, a horrible thing for me to say in hindsight.
What was the most
toughness.
egregious part of what was the most egregious phrasing that you used?
Oh,
like
man.
like when you think about, man, I shouldn't have said that. And we've all been there. We've all been there. What phrase do you wish you could take back the most?
I don't know if there's a particular phrase, because in hindsight, the whole thing is pretty cringy and just so questionable, right? And you just never should speak on somebody else's injury, because you're not them. You don't know what they're going through, right? Everybody's a human. You can't live Brock Purdy's life and feel his pain. You just can't. You got to take his word for it. And that's where I went wrong as a spectator and as a fan, thinking to myself, okay, you got your shoulder pads on, you got your jersey on, you got your helmet on, you're throwing the ball back and forth. I still think there's a chance, but that's where I went wrong, because I'm not Brock Purdy. And he's telling Coach Shanahan, I literally can't play. And another thing that kind of comes in my mind is, if he knows that his elbow is that messed up, elbow is that messed up, then why did Kyle Shanahan even put him back in the game to begin later on after Josh Johnson went out? I personally think that if he was no benefit to the team, if the injury was that bad, I respect Brock for trying to gut it out. But it was reckless to put him back in that game. You could have had Christian McCaffrey and Wildcat. You could have had Kyle Juszczyk, your emergency quarterback. You could have had Jawan Jennings.
I hear you. There were definitely options there. So your initial thing was more of a tweet. It was a tweet. It wasn't a video.
There was tweets, there was videos, there was a lot. And, a lot of people are saying that I kept.
Do you have the video? Should we play the video?
No. Because I took a shot. Someone.
What's the worst part of the video?
The worst part of the video, I'd say, was I took a shot at another media member that I'll remain unnamed, just because, he kind of riled me up a little bit with his response. Like, it was, I just deleted the video because I didn't like the way that I took a shot at someone else. And I don't think that was
is it an electric media personality?
Yeah, I'd say
it
so.
Is.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
But we won't push you any further.
No, it's good. I mean, like I said, I want to be held accountable. I have no problem acknowledging when I'm wrong. And that's
so basically you were thinking, hey, and I you know what? I'll tell you, Nick, it's interesting. I'm watching the exact same thing and I'm thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So to me, I think it's awesome. And I think it's, I know, did you overstep your bounds? Yeah.
Yes.
But you know what? You're just the voice of the fan and you're going organic. And it's like, you know what? That's what it looked like as well. He got hurt. Obviously took a hit on the elbow, but obviously we could see him throwing, and with each throw, it wasn't like he was, it wasn't like a sharp pain or anything. So you're thinking maybe he can manage his way through it. And I don't know the medicine on it either. So I'm thinking maybe they can give him something where, he won't feel it and it'll be all right. And, who knows? But I basically was holding out hope that he actually could come in and play, really going into the early third quarter. So because we weren't getting a lot of information
exactly
other than our eyes. So I understand why somebody could look at that and say, man, get in the game, get out there. But did you question his toughness? Or what did you say?
Yeah, no. So that's actually what I opened up that video with, is that, quote for quote, I said, somebody has to say it. We're all thinking the same thing. It's the elephant in the room. We don't have the information. We see you on the sideline with your helmet, throwing the ball back and forth. A lot of people would be lying if they never thought to themselves and saying, is this guy good enough to go back in the game? Why is he still on the field? Why is he still in uniform? Because normally when it's a massive injury, and if someone's saying, I literally cannot throw the ball, it's not very It's just so unconventional for them to remain on the sideline, to remain with their helmet on. And again, knowing what I know now, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Brock Purdy for even coming back in the game when they're down 14 points to hand the ball off and throw a 4-yard pass to McCaffrey. In my opinion, it was reckless of Kyle Shanahan. If Brock Purdy's telling you I literally can't feel my fingers, again, I don't have this information. Kyle Shanahan does, though. He put Purdy back into the game, and he was playing with his career. And then I was also thinking to myself, if this is a quarterback that's already made tons of money, like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, that's already locked in for life. Brock Purdy, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He has very minimal guaranteed money to his name. So I was thinking to myself in real time, like, is there a possibility he is protecting himself? Like, these are just real thoughts and me being real and transparent to the people that care what I have to say and, want to hear a different kind of voice, because I'm not in a position where I have to worry about my credibility. I don't really have any ties to a sports industry or media. I'm just organic, like you've touched on, Larry. I say what's on my mind. I don't have much to lose. I mean, this is just a Twitter account. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what it's going to lead to. I just try to be myself and be organic. And these are the real thoughts that were coming through my mind that I know a lot of people were scared to share.
Exactly. No, I totally understand. When I'm like holding you accountable, I'm just screwing around, because I mean, at the end of the day, you're a guy who's a fan, who's got a phone, who puts out his thoughts. And if a lot of people like it and want to consume it, awesome. But it's like they're following you if they're watching you. So it's like, if you don't like it, I don't know, unfollow. I'm not sure exactly what
there was a lot of that yesterday. So
how many unfollows did you get yesterday?
Oh my God. I'd estimate close to 300 to 400 easy.
Damn, you must. That's a good rant.
Well, I don't. It's not something I take
Brock
pride in.
Purdy's army came and got you.
Yeah, but I totally understand where people are coming from, right? Because you are walking that fine line, and to a lot of people, it crossed it. Like, you don't question another man's injury, and you don't question their toughness, and that's what that's what I've learned. And
especially a guy who's kind of tough. This is a guy,
yes,
and you already kind of knew.
No.
Right, because you knew that he didn't make any throws going into the Seattle game in the regular season, right?
Yeah.
So you knew that he had a high pain threshold.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, at the same time, I thought the exact same thing that you were saying, because he's making throws on the sidelines. I wasn't thinking about the contract and the money part of it. I was just thinking, can he gut it out? Is there something they can give him? Is it a twist? Is it a tear? Is it a bruise? Is it I don't know. It was such a weird contorted motion. I'll tell you the other thing that makes me think, and I don't know what you think of this, total different note, but same play. The NFL has decided that you can't do anything to the quarterback, right? If the quarterback slides and you hit him, penalty. If he's going out of bounds and you push him, penalty. We saw that yesterday in the other game. If you go low on the quarterback, penalty. You go helmet to helmet on the quarterback, penalty. Unless it's against Josh Johnson, by the way. Did you see the guy who went helmet to helmet on him?
Yeah.
No call. But for the most part, they do everything to protect the quarterback. But you can hyperextend his elbow backwards as he's in his midst of his throwing motion intentionally. Like, you can go and try to snap it. I mean, wrestlers, it's like a wrestling thing to like snap a guy's arm or something.
Yeah.
It's like, how, if we're going to protect the quarterback on a slide that nobody can slide into him and knock him, why would we not protect his arm, which is what makes him a quarterback to begin with? And I don't know. I know it's going to play to people who are Philly fans, like, oh, Krueg and his sour grapes and his whining. And I get it. I understand how it sounds today, but doesn't it seem like a contradiction that we protect the quarterback in so many ways? And it's like, why? Because nobody's going to watch these stupid games without the quarterback. Then we get the quarterback taken out because somebody jams his arm back mid motion. And I guarantee you there were fewer people that watched that game than would have.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in there.
The only thought, for sure. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm a diehard fan. By the time Josh Johnson fumbled that snag, I can't even talk about yesterday. I just get so flustered thinking about it still. It's just, but to your point about the arm going back, the only logical thought that I have as a counterpoint is maybe just because the ball's right there, like a play on the ball type of thing, whereas in the NBA, if you're making a play on the ball, it's not a flagrant, no matter how harsh the contact might be. So that's just the only thought that I have. Whereas if you're running with the football and you're protected for whatever reason, I don't know. But I hear
it's just such a weird thing. It's like, we're protecting the quarterbacks this way, that way, this way, and that way. But this, no, totally legal. He could be throwing, and all of a sudden you just jam his arm back, and he could tear his pec. He could rip out his elbow. You could technically pull a guy's arm as hard as you wanted out of the socket if you want. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird that they like allow some harsh contact on the quarterback, but then other harsh contact, if we see it in a repetition, Mahomes is running to the sideline, he steps on the line and you push him a little bit out and he slides onto the canvas and suddenly it's like, flag, but a guy can jam your arm back as you're throwing and, there's no flag on that. It was just a good hit, right? I mean, it's kind of a weird, they're in a weird situation. What'd you think overall of the 49ers season? One of the things we talked about yesterday earlier today, I should say, was it a successful year? I mean, what kind of how it ended, and where they finished last year, and what the expectations were.
Yeah.
Where are you on the successful year?
I mean, it was a great year that brought a lot of great experiences and joy to my life. I was out in Mexico City and I was able to go to 2 home playoff games. So it was a successful year because I made a lot of memories with my loved ones, my friends, my families, the people that sit with me at Levi's in Section 407. It was a great, fun year. But at the end of the day, I was born May 22nd, 1995. Since I've been on this planet, the 49ers have not won a Super Bowl. And I'm just tired of the same story every single year when we advance this far in the playoffs. And people were using the phrase, Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. You're playing with house money. House money. No, it's not house money. We're here. We deserve to be here. Brock Purdy was fantastic to close out the year. And that's another thing that I'm so appreciative of, is that having all these quarterbacks and Jimmy Garoppolo being around, Brock Purdy being around, that kept the season afloat because they are the reasons why we're able to remain on this ride, right? So right when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt in the Dolphins game and there was that tweet he's out for the season, I never in a million years thought Brock Purdy would take this team as far as he did and play as well as he did. It's not even like he was just the point guard and the facilitator we saw Jimmy Garoppolo was. There's actually a legit game. He has a legit skill set. He has the shiftiness and he's very savvy with the ball. I really enjoyed watching him play this year. So I'm disappointed. I'm really sad that we didn't get to see a competitive football game yesterday. That hurts me more than anything because just thinking about the guys in the locker room that have been here and lost to the Rams last year and lost to the Chiefs, and my heart just hurts for them because they didn't have a fair shot of winning this game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and it was, what I was trying to explain this to my wife. My wife's not really a sports fan, but I tried to explain this. I'm like, every game, we all watch games every week. And there's a part of the game that sucks sometimes. And that is from when the game is over till the end of the game. You know what I mean? That part of the game, there's going to be a part, maybe it's a minute left or whatever. The last whatever minute of the game is always going to be kind of nothing. But either that's a win and you're taking a kneel down or you're running plays and it's this elation, or it's a loss and whatever. But as a 49er fan, they don't get blown out much. And I can't ever remember a 49er game where I've literally felt it's over 6 plays into their first offensive drive. So in some ways, watching yesterday was I watched it the first time. And normally I would go home and watch it again. I have yet to watch it again.
No,
I'm just I almost want to forget that game even ever happened. It was nothing in that game after Purdy went down was of much. It had the same. It just wasn't the same after that. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's being over dramatic, but I just didn't. The game was lost. I knew they were going to lose. They were never going to beat Philadelphia with Josh Johnson on the road. Against that was never going to happen.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty. It's a universal take. I haven't heard anybody say otherwise. I would rather lose a game in the fashion the 49ers lost last year against the Rams in the NFC Championship game than not having a no contest. And there was another glimmer of hope when the McCaffrey touchdown happened. Okay, it's a tie ball game. It's a tie ball game. What is this? Because you just seen quarterback after quarterback come in, and then once Josh Johnson fumbles the snap and he can't even recover. It's one thing to drop the snap, fine, but it's a 99.9% chance when you watch these other quarterbacks fumble the snap that they go down and get the ball. How do you not get the ball on top of it? I haven't gone back and watched the game either. I don't plan on doing so for a long time because I just don't think what's the benefit?
And by the way, that was another blown call. That was a 49er false start.
Yeah.
That should have killed that play dead. Never would have had the Josh Johnson fumble. I mean, there are so many parts of this game. I was just like, wow. What really also stood out, and I haven't watched the game again, but I can't believe when I do, it's going to look any better, is Javon Kinlaw got destroyed. He just got destroyed. Armstead held his ground, but Kinlaw did not. Yeah. And it was to the point where they have to go get somebody. I mean, They absolutely that's suddenly that might be, need number one on defense right now is replacing the interior defensive tackle, with somebody big time.
For sure, for sure. I agree. Yeah, I'm not much. Kinlaw's flashed a time or two in 3 seasons. Like he really hasn't done much his entire time here, and it's not his fault. The team chose to draft him knowing he had a flag knee, right? So it is what it is.
Yeah, couple of super chats before the next one here. The whole week I was telling my friends that we need to test Hurt's shoulder. Sports karma that it ended up being Purdy. Tip the cap to the Eagles. Abu Marco 23. Thank you, Abu Marco. Also, this one from Green Glass Full says the levels of Bay Area ethnosarcism.
That's quite the word. I don't know.
Narcissism about Trey being hated on is off the charts. A, it's false. B, it's usually done by racists who can't be. It's a lot there. It's a lot there for a live stream at 9:08 with Nick Newman. You know what I mean? Nick, do you want to tackle that one? No, I'm just joking.
No, jeez. I believe in Trey Lance. I think he should have a fair shot at being the quarterback next year. So
absolutely. James Cho says NFL refs are clowns and trash. What do you make of the fact that Lane Johnson false started 5 times with none of them being called? And that when when Brian Baldinger was asked about it, he says that Lane Johnson has quick twitch.
I mean, the only thing I can say is at least it was consistent, right? Because the play, and it didn't work in the Niners' favor because they should have been called for a false start. They kept letting jumps go early, and then Josh Johnson loses the ball. So at least if there was one thing, they were consistently bad. They were consistently bad.
Yeah, we got this one from Mitchell and Ness. He says, Larry, come on. If the Niners did it to Jalen Hurts, you would have been saying what a great play. Got me. No, I don't know. I don't. Personally, the game's violent. It's a violent game. I'm just saying it's just so hip. It's so weird that we protect the quarterbacks from certain contact, and like a push from behind is not going to hurt Patrick Mahomes as he slides on the turf. But jacking a quarterback's arm back in the middle of his throw, you would think should be something that they would want to, I don't know, not have in the game. I don't know. But it's actually a defensive advancement because I haven't seen that many guys go for the arm. But obviously, Hassan Reddick loves it because he also did it later in the game to Johnson.
Yep.
He loves that move. Calba says Nick's rants are entertaining. I'm not advocating for neutral sides, but something needs to be done with officiating in these high stakes games. It favors the home teams, and you need more objectivity. The one that was weird was the opening one that Kyle Shanahan did not challenge because the people in the booth in New York City have all the angles and they didn't throw any of them. They didn't look at any of those angles. And then all of a sudden, the Eagles were running another play and nobody had any time. I got to blame Shanahan for that because there were 2 indications. There was the Hufanga motioning that it was incomplete and the Philly receiver running to the line of scrimmage. On those 2 hints, I think you got to throw the challenge flag. I did the live stream with Grant a lot. He's taking a very strong, let's blame Shanahan approach. I don't blame Shanahan for having Croft on Reddick because it's the play action game. You're selling that you're doing something else. So you have to be able to use these guys. They have to be. And it wasn't like Croft blew that block. He didn't blow it inside. He held him and then he got let go and he went wide on him. It's just Purdy's got to get rid of it. The timing wasn't there. Personally, if I had anybody to blame on that, I would blame Lynch in the personnel department for not having a better, more powerful, more stout second tight end. To me, that's a more apt criticism than to blame Shanahan for doing in this game what he did all season, which was play action pass and use guys like Croft, like Dwelly, as pass protectors at times. How much blame did you throw towards Shanahan?
Not too much. I'm not too upset with the non-challenge. I thought everything just happened so quick and so bang bang. And even the first time the replay showed me, I still thought it was a catch. And when you rush to the line like that, you have 15, 16, 20 seconds max to make a decision if you're going to throw the flag or not. I could see why Kyle Shanahan was reluctant. At the end of the day, he should have challenged it, and it could have really saved the game. If you're telling me the Eagles don't score, the 49ers have the ball at the 40-yard line, their own 40-yard line? Their own
35,
40,
yeah.
own 35. Like that could have been a monumental difference in the game, right? But in real time, I really didn't blame him. But
I don't feel like we got the good view until after the score.
So that's what I was thinking. Like another thing, as I've been in these opposing stadiums, they're not going to show enough replays when it's questionable, right? Like they might show one because it was a spectacular catch, and then by the time the booth has a look at it and they have to relay the message down to Kyle Shanahan, the turnaround time was just too tight. So I really wasn't too hard on Shanahan for not challenging in the moment.
We welcome in Ryan Smith, who joins the mix. Ryan Smith, Nick Newman, Ryan Smith.
Nick?
What's going on, Ryan?
We're talking obviously about Purdy, and Ryan basically, is a passionate Niner fan and does these videos. And Ryan, you've probably seen a few of them, and then some of them are really, really good. And so we were just talking a little bit about him, and also how he blamed he blamed Purdy in real time for not being tough, not coming back in, and knows he made a mistake and this and that. So we get kind of fooling around with that. And then I was just asking him now about Shanahan. I'll throw it to you, Ryan. How much blame do you throw on Shanahan? I mean, obviously you lose. There's a lot of unhappiness. There's a lot of discontent today. People are looking for a scapegoat. They're looking for somebody to blame. What do you think? I mean, where do you want to jump in on this? Obviously, we all saw it. I mean, the 49ers lost because they lost Brock Purdy, and then they kind of lost their composure towards the end. They had too many penalties, so on and so forth, 3 turnovers. Any one of those things, losing Purdy, being -3 in turnovers, or, having double-digit penalties is enough typically to get you beat, especially on the road against a good team. But they had it all, right? All 3 of those factors went against them. I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for that. They had gone 12 games with 1 turnover or fewer. So, and I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for the loss. I think it has, to me, it was decided 6 plays into their first drive. So I wasn't going to come out super strong anti-Kyle. I also think if they fired Kyle tonight, there'd be 3 more guys in the NFL whose head coaches would be fired tomorrow because those teams would be hoping to get Kyle. So I just think, I know there's discontent. I know there's a lot of people that want to blame Kyle for this and that. I get it. I understand, but I don't. To me, that's not why they lost. Ryan, go ahead. Where do you sit on the Shanahan, day after postmortem frustration?
I guess I would just say I'm really bummed. There was 6 or 7 things that happened that caused it to not be a game. I'm really bummed that they couldn't at least just go into halftime down 7. And that would have given everyone hope. And also I feel like maybe that gives Kyle enough time to sort of scheme together something with Josh Johnson. But I don't know. I mean, as far as blaming Shanahan,
the chat's saying that your mic might be a little loud.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
There you go. How about that?
I'm not sure.
As far as blaming Shanahan, I mean, that he should have challenged that. There's no doubt. He should have at least taken a timeout, because I'm pretty sure if you take a timeout, you can then decide, 20 seconds later, you'd rather convert that to a challenge. And it's the beginning of the game. But I also understand that, it's kind of tough when it's that early in the game to want to you're worried you're going to burn a challenge or, burn a timeout. But man, it was just such a backbreaking play, because it was 4th and whatever. And it just immediately the Niners would have been in field goal range. And of course, then everyone can play the butterfly effect game. Probably Brock doesn't get hurt. But no, I really can't blame. I really don't. If I give maybe 3 out of 10 blame to Shanahan. I really can't give any blame to anybody else. Even I know people ripping on Greenlaw for it's just, what are you going to do, man? You're that frustrated. you're playing a zillion minutes of defense in the row, and you're just trying to make a play. You're trying to force some sort of turnover. That was like their only shot. But and then as far as Josh Johnson, I don't even really blame him because he probably didn't get any reps in practice. They had to give all the reps to Purdy because he's a rookie, and the guy just looked like he wasn't ready to be out there to play football. It just sucks because it's just was such a good season and there was so much effort put into it. And I honestly, I just got so triggered by everyone being like, oh, well, Philly proved they're the better team. I mean, like a lot of people just kind of glossed over the game, went right to Kansas City Bengals. But
I'll say this. I don't think that Philly proved that they were the better team. In fact, my feeling after watching that game, and now granted, I know there's play calling when you're up, play calling when you're down, play calling when you're trying to score a lot, play calling when you're trying to just burn clock. So I understand Philly would have had a different plan than for the Niners if Purdy had not gotten hurt than the plan that they actually showed us. That all being said, if Purdy plays, very confident the 49ers would have found a way to win that game. Very confident.
It would have gone to the fourth quarter. It would have been a nail biter. It would have been awesome. That, I guess, you hit the nail on the head there, Lair. The thing that's really disappointing, having watched both games, is like it doesn't feel like any team played their A game, and yet two teams are in the Super Bowl. The Niners obviously couldn't have played their A game.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles, I mean, the Eagles ran like 70 plays, had like 260 yards total or something. They really weren't all that special. And of course, their D line is going to be awesome, but that's just because they literally could only run the ball. So I think Debo had, it was like negative 10 yards rushing on the day or something.
There's a lot of rumors going around that Vic Fangio had a deal with the Dolphins and now doesn't have a deal with the Dolphins with the idea that he might come to the 49ers. Let me read this super chat. 49er fan 0223 says, does Kyle need to hire an offensive coordinator? I feel their offense had better flow with Mike McDaniels calling plays. Also might give Kyle time to focus on game situations. Oh, that's interesting. But what do you guys think? Do they need a new OC? And what do you think of Fangio as the replacement for D'Amico?
I don't think they need a new offensive coordinator. I think Kyle Shanahan is more than capable of handling the responsibilities of managing the entire team and then also being able to call the plays offensively. And Vic Fangio is really interesting to me because his defense was great when he was here in that 3-4. I'm curious as if he would just keep the 4-3 scheme or if he'd convert this defense to a 3-4. That would be interesting. And, Samson Obukum is a free agent this upcoming season. Charles Umenahu. There's a lot of guys leaving that they might have the opportunity to switch up the defense. But, so that's interesting because I like Fangio a lot. And
I like Fangio a lot as well. I don't know if Fangio and Kocurek couldn't coexist or if there would be enough, I know Vic's a veteran coach that has coached a lot of different fronts. He's not just solely a 3-4 guy, but he's kind of synonymous with the 3-4 defense. And they don't necessarily have 3-4 defensive linemen really, but there's lots of most NFL defenses these days are kind of a hybrid anyway. So, I don't think it's as big a deal. That Niner guy says blaming Shanahan for the Trey injury. I get using your quarterback like a running back, but I cannot blame him for a play he calls on the time that has been Brock's bread and butter. Did I read that wrong? Blaming Shanny for Trey injury. I get using your quarterback like a running back, but I cannot blame him for call a play he calls on the time that has been Brock's bread and butter.
So he's saying he can't blame him. He can blame him for the Trey thing, but he can't blame him for it's a play Brock has made a million times.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment.
It just sucks because it's like I wish I could be outraged at something, and I really can't.
Where's your damn outrage?
I know.
God damn it.
I'm in the same boat. What's there to be mad at? Like, it's hard to blame anybody. The game was lost when Brock Purdy went down. It was lost.
Yeah,
there.
I seriously, do I think Kyle Shanahan's a perfect head coach? No.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been in, they've gone pretty far. He's got a damn good record on the in the playoffs. I think what's his record in the playoffs? It's really good.
6-3.
6-3, but it's like 8-1 against the spread, I believe. Or 7, it was 7-1 against spread now yesterday, now 7-2. Trader Chris, I'm confident that the Eagles would have kept the pressure on. You can see they dialed it back after the injuries. Even at half speed, they beat us up. Where the Eagles were better, I think that's a good point, Chris. Where the Eagles were better was their offensive line just absolutely dominated Javon Kinlaw up front. He just got worked. I mean, he got shoved around and pushed off the ball. They just totally dominated him. And then the Eagle defensive line, Reddick was big. Hargrave had a couple of really big plays. Everybody else was just kind of I mean, I thought Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was flying around. He clearly made some big plays. Glass City says, Purdy injury aside, the loss forever changed how people view the Niners. The national media are just drilling the team. It's embarrassing as a fan. Niners are now fighting for their rep harder than ever. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Do you agree with that? Do you guys agree with Glass City?
No, I just don't understand. Even the last comment, I don't understand. Like,
what's embarrassing?
Oh, it would have kept happening with the D line. People are saying, oh, they proved that they've got the better D line and O line. But it's like, okay, the game set up perfectly for them. Rookie quarterback aside, they just got to stay on the field the entire time on offense and just run downhill. And our defense got super tired. And I actually would argue, this is bold point maybe. I thought the Niners defense was the best unit out of any unit that played this weekend. I was super impressed with the Niners defense with how well they were able to play, considering the circumstances. And then you think like the Eagles, okay, yeah, it was 7-7.
I don't know about that. I mean, they allowed 2 touchdown runs untouched.
But that was
2
after
times a running back went untouched into the end zone.
But that was after
one from 16, one from 3.
It was after like 7-8 minutes of just pounding.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I hear you as far as like, once the Niners couldn't sustain drives and the Eagles' big physical offensive line could just absolutely just blow them off the ball. I mean, there was, that's why the entire game after Purdy went out was like useless. I've never enjoyed a game less than that game.
I thought the defense, to Ryan's point, they did enough early on to keep them in the game, right? So I'm looking after that opening drive touchdown that they scored, which shouldn't have been a touchdown because Devontae Smith didn't catch the ball. Their next 3 drives, 3 plays, 6 yards, 2 minutes, 4 plays, 11 yards, 2 minutes, 3 plays, -4 yards. All 3 ended in punts. So after that opening drive touchdown, punt. And that's after Brock Purdy's turnover when he got hurt, punt. Like they did enough early on to keep them in the game. The Niners tie up the score. Then they're playing so well on a 14-play drive. And was this the same drive that had, the roughing the punter penalty and the Jimmy Ward holding call? Like they were doing everything.
I think the Jimmy Ward holding call was on that play, and that was absolutely horse shit.
So, oh my gosh.
They didn't call maybe that's called during the regular season, but they showed in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs that they were going to let the boys play. And then this game, when they there was never a game when the Niners needed the refs to let them play more than this. Yep. And yet it was just ticky-tack in both games. We're going to see in the Super Bowl, it's not going to be like that at all. They're going to completely do a 180 because of all the complaining.
So they had the opening drive touchdown, 3 consecutive punts, and then going back to the Eagles drive where they score a touchdown. This is the one area where Kyle Shanahan has some catching up to do. The Eagles go for it 4th and 1 from their own 34-yard line. Like that is playing with fire right there. If you don't convert that 4th and 1 and the 49ers get the ball at your own 34, that's crazy. And Dak Prescott and McCarthy were doing that the previous week, and Kyle Shanahan called a very conservative game against the Cowboys. It ended up playing in their favor. He slow played everything. The better team won out in the long run. But going for it 4th and 1 in your own territory in the NFC Championship game with the game tied 7-7 is crazy. And so
it's interesting too. Kyle, he managed Purdy, who was so incredibly capable very conservatively, I thought, throughout that Cowboy game. But then they're in a 14-7 game. They get the ball with 1:36 it left in the second quarter. And, it's like, even though you're getting the ball to begin the third quarter, and you're backed up on your own 25-yard line. He comes out aggressively with Josh Johnson, and he hit Debo on the slant to start the drive.
Remember Greg Olsen was like, oh, I guess maybe,
But then the fumble, and once again, we already mentioned this, but the false start against the Niners that would have stopped that play doesn't get called there. And Josh Johnson fumbles. And then his effort to pick up the fumble after he dropped it was, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. That was a terrible look. And Reddick picks it up. They score again, and 2 scores in 1:20. And now it's 21-7, and you have no quarterback. And essentially, whether you thought it was over when Purdy went out, it literally was over right then and there.
No, and I want to run down because Nick brings up a great point. So, the Eagles get that touchdown. Shouldn't have been a touchdown. All right. Niners immediately fumble, and then they force Philly to punt. Then the Niners punt because they can't do anything. Then the Eagles punt. Then the Niners punt because they can't do anything. Then the Eagles punt. And then the Niners score a touchdown. It's like, holy crap, Jesus Christ, is this a sports movie? And then the Eagles get the ball with 6 minutes and 53 seconds left. Okay, this is their drive. Sanders for 4 yards, Sanders for 4 yards, Hurts for 1 yard. So they stop them. 4th and 1 at the Philly 34. They go for it because, they've got that ability. But against any other team, that's they stopped them. Okay, then it's Hurts pass to Sanders for 3 yards, incomplete deep to Devontae Smith, incomplete short across the middle to AJ Brown. Penalty on Ward, defensive pass interference on 3rd and 7.
Which was very ticky-tack call.
Very ticky-tacky. All right, that moves them up to the Philly 42. Okay, incomplete pass. Jalen Hurts is sacked. All right, now it's going to be 3rd down again. Oh, no. T.Y. McGill, illegal use of hands, even though he's also being held. No play. All right, let's give it back to Philly. All right, penalty on Philly, moves him back 5 yards. Okay, 1st and 15, Hurts.
Well, it was illegal hands to the face on T.Y. McGill. But, once again, these guys are doing this all the time. Chris Jones had three plays where he had the hands up in the face mask that I'm watching in a row. I wasn't even watching the entire game. I saw 3 plays where he had his hands up in the guy's face mask the exact same way that McGill did in the earlier game. McGill draws the penalty, and Chris Jones had no penalty three downs in a row. So
and that guy lines up off sides every time.
And that's what Michael Lombardi was talking about today, right? That he's like, it's not just this game. It was the inconsistency throughout the playoffs. In certain games early on, it was like, we're going to let them play. There's a new level of physicality at the playoffs, and players, you have to adjust because we're calling it differently. And then we get into this game, and there's some ticky-tack calls after they had just kind of established that they were going to let them play. So the inconsistency is what Lombardi was calling out.
Yeah, I also feel like in most of the time, like when you're playing the right way, you're playing really strong defense, the offense is not doing really anything spectacular. They're just kind of getting hooked on penalties. Usually just human nature, the refs start to kind of let that stuff go because it's like, do these guys really deserve to keep marching? Okay, I'll keep going. All right, Hurts pass short to the middle to Goddard for 4 yards. Then a pass to Gainwell for 9 yards. Nice. All right, now it's 3rd and 2 at the SF45. Gainwell for 4 yards. Okay, then Gainwell breaks one. Like, they're on the field for 4 minutes.
17-yard run for Gainwell.
17-yard run. Now it's 2-minute warning. Sanders for 1 yard. Then incomplete pass. Penalty on Charvarius Ward. Illegal contact. All right, now it's 1st down and 10.
That I thought was legit.
That was legit. And then Sanders for 5 yards. And then Sanders for a 13-yard rush for a touchdown.
Untouched.
It's just like they got beat down. And then Niners get the ball back. Completes the pass for 11 yards, longer than any pass completion that Philly had on the entire previous drive. And then Josh Johnson fumbles, then a 5-yard pass, 5-yard pass, penalty on Greenlaw for a face mask. Okay, extra point, field goal kicked. Now it's 21-7. Now it feels like they probably can't come back. So
So we're talking about how it's difficult to really find anyone to blame or pinpoint who deserves blame. But Larry, I thought you brought up something very interesting with the contrast of how Shanahan closed out the game, the first half with Purdy against the Cowboys, where it was very conservative and they let 30 seconds go off the clock when they're moving the ball. And if you go back and watch that game, Brock Purdy throws the ball out of bounds with 1 second left. And I'm not kidding. It was a half second away from just time expiring, end of half,
Right.
no field goal attempt for Robbie Gold. So this is my frustration with Shanahan, just how inconsistent he is in those big moments. Like going back to the Super Bowl, he didn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo to close out the first half to just try to march down the field. They have
But he does trust Josh Johnson.
Like this is my frustration. Going back to the Super Bowl, there's that one shot play to George Kittle that would have put them in field goal range, but they had almost 2 full minutes with timeouts to try and score a touchdown. He doesn't do it. But then here comes the second half of that game, and you didn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball during a 2-minute drill, but you're throwing the ball consecutively, time and time again, with a lead, a 10-point lead. And Raheem Mostert, the run game's averaging 6 yards a pop, and you're going to throw in that situation when you didn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo in the first half of the Super Bowl. I don't get that about Kyle Shanahan, and I never even thought about how aggressively they try to play closing out the first half yesterday that led to the Josh Johnson fumble, because it's just so uncharacteristic of what he does with more successful, proven quarterbacks. Like now that you brought it up, the wheels are spinning a little bit like you're onto something. Why did he feel the need to go and try to score points and play so aggressively with Josh Johnson, but not with the other?
Well, think about it. I mean, think about it. What is the game plan as soon as Purdy is out? Shorten the game.
Yeah.
Shorten the game.
Yep.
Why? Because if it stays 14-7 or 7-7, any one defensive tip pass to Greenlaw or tip pass to Jimmy Ward, you're going the other way. You may win the game. You may force overtime. You may get a bounce of the ball, and now here's Robbie Gold from 32 yards out, and you get out of town with a win. Shorten the game. So you get the ball back with a minute 36, and you know you're going to get it in the second half. Run the ball 3 times, see if you can bust one, and if not, go into the locker room 14-7 and hash out a great offensive plan. Shorten the game. Instead, you're going to go conservative with Jimmy Garoppolo, conservative with Brock Purdy, but acting like you've got, absolute total confidence in Josh Johnson to throw and deep in his own territory. And with that crowd, with his lack of experience, he's already had 3 delay of games. Threw a ball directly to Javon Hargrave, who dropped
delay
it.
of games.
He'd already shown you that he couldn't do it. And then you're going to sit there, and instead of shortening the game, you're going to say, this is now my go for it moment. His feel
it's off
right there is got to be questioned.
So one other thing that kind of I thought the team would do going into the game offensively, Kyle Shanahan with Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo, he would, with no offensive lineman, would consistently beat the Rams and Aaron Donald by utilizing the extended handoffs, right? Give the ball to Deebo Samuel in space and dare the Philadelphia cornerbacks to come up and tackle him. I thought that component was missing, and Brock went out of the game so early. Who knows if they call it up or not, but I'm just like, you have all these playmakers that thrive getting the ball at the line of scrimmage, getting it and go. Good luck tackling them. And to your point, okay, if you're going to have Josh Johnson throw the ball, fine, but let him get the ball out quickly. You don't need not everything needs to be a slant or a long developing play. We've seen Jalen Ramsey not be able to tackle Deebo Samuel. And you hear about the Philadelphia Eagles pass rush, right? They're so great with their interior pass rush. They have the edge rushers. Well, how do you combat that? Get the ball out of Brock Purdy, Josh Johnson's hands quickly, tunnel screens to Deebo Samuel, jet sweeps to Deebo Samuel. It's just, I was disappointed that the recipe has been there to beat tremendous pass rush like we've seen Kyle Shanahan do with the Rams. I just didn't really get the game plan, but, it was Josh Johnson. At the end of the day, you're not going to win a game with Josh Johnson.
Yeah, and also the play sheet was probably, it was minimal. It was probably 20% of the game plan they could really do with Josh Johnson. And yeah, that was interesting. I think Kyle just felt like crap. That was a deflating drive we just gave up there. Let's see if he can complete this first pass. If he can, let's do a little hurry up. Let's see if we can't get a field goal, and then we get the ball back at the end of our first half. first possession in the first half. But yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I would say philosophically that you could knock Shanahan on, and honestly, I don't even knock. It's hard to knock him on it because it opens everything else up. But the offensive line is completely fine. The Niners, the way the Niners play, they always are able to get through O-line injuries for a reason, because they're always running the ball and putting the offensive linemen in good situations. But the second they have to get into a drop back pass game, if they get down early, their offensive line just can't hold up for very long doing that. They never can, really.
I mean, here's the thing about that. Against Dallas, the Niner offensive line allowed pressure on Purdy on 48% of the snaps. That was the highest percentage the 49er quarterback has faced pressure since the 2020 season. But Rye, to your point, Josh Johnson was under pressure yesterday. 11 of his 15 plays, 73% pressure rate on Josh Johnson. So I just think that the 49er offensive line, I mean, Trent Williams is great, and the rookie guards are the future. They could be better at center, a little bit more stout, though Brendel's had a really good year for Brendel. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl alternate. He didn't burn them at all. He played well, but he lacks some ability to move people in the run game. And then McGlinchey is a good run blocker at times, but he's really struggled in pass protection. And I think he's also going to get a pretty good offer in the offseason. So I expect McGlinchey's probably going to wind up going. But I think they could be more physical at the point on their offensive line than they've been. And I'm looking for that next year. But, I mean, overall, I don't know. I don't blame Shanahan as much as Grant, as much as others do. Jay Dizzy says only the most lunatic fans want to fire Kyle when there's no viable, clear upgrade available at this time. Ken Dorsey, Ben Johnson, Lincoln Riley, who some people, Clarsard says Sean Payton would love to be here. Is Sean Payton a clear upgrade at this point in his career from Kyle Shanahan? I would say no. But I mean, Sean Payton has many, many fans. So there are people that would disagree with that. I realize. Trader Chris says, I feel knowing we have only Purdy, Shanahan would have max protect more, play run and field position and win it on defense once the pass was gone. But he couldn't throw it at all. That was the thing. If Purdy could throw it a little bit, that would have been one thing. But today, finding out that he had a torn elbow, I mean, you knew that this is we kind of know, get a chance to know the guy. So we kind of have a feeling for what guys really do have incredible pain threshold and that kind of thing. And Brock Purdy's pretty tough. He's a pretty tough young guy. So it's like, I knew that when he couldn't throw, it was surgery.
In the Seattle game, he broke or he screwed up his finger or something, and apparently was in like an insane amount of pain and just went out there Thursday night and balled.
Yeah. Glass City says, I agree with everything you guys, y'all, I don't say y'all enough. Y'all are saying. I'm just saying as a fan, it's BS that the national media is drilling my team. I think we're a dominant team. I was the first to say Philly didn't impress me. I mean, anybody who's talking up Philly today is really got to be questioning themselves. Philly was not overly impressive unless Kansas City's totally banged up and I don't realize it. And they're going to be a shell of what I expect. Give me Kansas City on Super Bowl Sunday. And the fact that you're getting points, I'll take that absolutely. Mahomes has been there. Hurts is not. Chiefs have some incredible athletes on defense. Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, not to mention the big boy up front. Come on. The Kansas City, I think, is a pretty good football team. I mean, maybe I feel that way because they put 40 on the Niners. What do you think, Nick? What do you think of KC?
I was just going to say, doesn't it really bum you guys out that it's like, okay, Philly opens as a 2.5 point favorite on a neutral site, which means the Niners would have been a 3-point favorite versus KC?
No, actually, I actually had this for the pregame show. The numbers on this, they gave the
look ahead
spread, what the spread would be in all these games, and it was pretty close. It was a lot closer than you would think. Let me see if I can find it here. But yeah, it was. It's
because if the Eagles opened one, got bet super hard up to 2.5. I mean, their home field's worth 2.5. I think.
Oh, here it is. So if it was Kansas City and the Niners, they said it would have been pick'em. If it had been Cincy and the Niners, it would have been pick'em. If it's Cincy and the Eagles, it would have been Eagles minus 1.5. And then if it's Kansas City and the Eagles, it said it'd be Eagles minus 1.5, at least to open.
Is this before the games or after the games?
This was going into Sunday morning.
Weird. Oh, so they must have really downgraded the Chiefs.
Unless the Chiefs did the Chiefs have a significant injury in that game?
I mean, their weapons got hurt. Their O-line looked really bad, and Mahomes was not. He was a little.
I was not overly impressed by Philadelphia. See, that's the thing. I walked into that game thinking, okay, this is going to be elation. We're going to the Super Bowl, and Brock Purdy is this national story, and wow. Or, you know what? Philly is going to show us that they have a much more talented football team, that they're a much more complete team across the board. What I felt like I saw at the end was Philly not really doing all the things they can do because they chose not to, and the 49ers without their quarterback after 6 plays, but defense rose up and kind of showed that they were, as Rye said, the best unit. He said the whole weekend in either game definitely was the best unit on the field. And so I kind of felt like my takeaway from that game was, you know what? If Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, I think the 49ers were going to the Super Bowl. I really do.
I agree. I think if the Philly got behind, it would have got dangerous. I mean, what was everyone worried about? It was Jalen Hurts throws the deep ball. The Niners can get kind of exposed on the deep outside. Charvarius played incredible. I thought Lenore played really well. Jimmy Ward played really well. They weren't doing anything in the passing game. It got to a point where it just turned into a scrimmage, and they knew that they could just hold on to the ball.
What'd you think, Nick?
I thought once Brock Purdy left the game, Kyle Shanahan just lost faith in his team being able to remain more physical than the Eagles. Because going back with his back against the wall, looking at the Week 18 game last year against the Rams, when you have to win that game to even go into the playoffs, they fell behind 17-0, and then they got it to 17-7 going into halftime, or 17-3. I think it was a Robbie Gould field goal. And that entire second half, even though they were down double figures, they never stopped running the ball down the Rams' throat. They never did. And it was a very unconventional way to try to get back into a football game, running the ball. But Kyle Shanahan believed in the run game. And Jimmy Garoppolo was playing hurt that game. And I feel like when Brock Purdy got hurt, he gave up on the possibility of the 49ers being able to remain as physical as the Eagles too soon, right? They got the McCaffrey touchdown, and they were having a hard time moving the field. And then it was just kind of a lost cause after that.
Yeah. I got to ask you guys a question, but we get a couple of these super chats. Trader Chris says, I meant from the start of the game, once the pass threat was gone, the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
You should have protected more. That's all. There's no doubt, Trader, that was the case. Once it was only a run game. I mean, this is not, Leatherheads or whatever. Trader Chris says, as a bettor, all in on the Eagles, Chiefs, no O-line. Okay.
I kind of like the Eagles too. I feel like they're being inflated because
I'm taking Mahomes, man. I'm taking Mahomes and I'm taking Reed. Lance David says O-line was ranked around 8th Pro Football Focus this year. They also allowed the sixth fewest sacks. This still resulted in 4 quarterbacks going down. What's up with that?
Shot crazy.
Well, does Shanahan deserve blame for the fact that his quarterbacks have gotten hurt a lot?
Only Trey. I mean, you could say Trey. Jimmy tried to extend that play. He should have threw the ball away, but that's just on Jimmy for being injury prone. And then, it was just a freak thing with Brock, man. It was just freak.
Yeah, there's no way you can blame Kyle Shanahan. I agree with the Trey Lance because of the way he was being utilized, but looking at the Purdy injury, looking at the Garoppolo injuries, they're all just freak plays that you can't really hold anybody accountable for or get mad at. I actually thought that it's a pretty fair argument to say that the way that Kyle Shanahan was calling the games for Trey Lance, led to him getting injured, because the hits that he was it was inevitable. It felt like to me as a spectator, that hit after hit after hit, it's inevitable that this guy's going to get hurt unless he's just superhuman and just can't get injured.
Also, the Josh Johnson one was a concussion. I think that's just NFL protocols have tightened up so much after Tua. Tua doesn't.
The one about Trey, it's like, okay, so the 49ers, I didn't like the game plan, that Shanahan liked to run Trey on these, designed quarterback runs where there was nothing other than snap the ball and then, now you're Marcus Allen and pick and slide, find a hole and go. I mean, that's just awful. That's just, I mean, if you want to run your quarterback around the end, or you want to run your quarterback hard up the middle on a particular hole, but to just snap it to your quarterback with no blockers and just kind of pick and slide and go find a hole. And they did that in multiple games. They did that with Trey Lance.
What was most frustrating to watch was just the relationship and the play calling between Trey Lance and Kyle Shanahan. Like, it was not the same game plan we saw called for Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Mullins, Brock Purdy. It was like a completely different offense almost. And I think the only time we saw a small glimpse of what Trey Lance could look like in the same style of offense as these other quarterbacks was the second half of the Texans game, where it just looked like it took forever for Trey Lance to find a rhythm with Kyle Shanahan and vice versa. And then finally, that second half of the Texans game, week 17 of the 2021 season, finally, here comes the play action rollouts. And Trey Lance has a beautiful ball to Deebo Samuel off of play action. You just see it. You see it. This guy can play quarterback in the pocket. He doesn't need to be ran into the ground. So I think that small snippet is enough to hold on to hope that Trey Lance has that same potential running the same style of offense. But I just don't get why it was so drastically different with him in the game.
Yeah, what I saw, going back to that Arizona game. So Trey ran 16 times, okay? I think 9 of them were by design, and 7 of them were scrambles. In the 7 scrambles, he averaged like 13 yards a scramble, and he took a hit on about 30% of the runs. On the design quarterback runs, he averaged like 3.2 yards per carry, and he took a hit on all 9 designed runs. So that to me is the big difference. If you have designed runs for your quarterback, he's going to take a hit. But if he just scrambles out of there, oftentimes he's seeing a lane. And so he's going. So when you have a quarterback that has mobility, great. You have an ability to use him as a scrambler if the play breaks down. But to me, unless he's a truly dynamic runner, you're doing him and your team a huge disservice with the design quarterback runs. And if that's all you can do with that player, then that player probably is not ready to play yet. That's what I would argue.
Also, the Reddick, so I know he got Purdy, whatever, but and also,
he also got Josh Johnson on his arm as well. Johnson,
and how about that play? I mean, he just landed right on Josh Johnson. This entire year, they've been calling that
was Sue
penalty. Oh, was it Sue?
It was Sue, but they felt like his legs didn't land on him, so they didn't call it. But his upper body was right on top of Josh Johnson.
Wait, what was the one where Reddick almost stole the ball? I think that's where he got.
That was also helmet to helmet.
That was helmet to helmet, and he just landed straight on top of. He just landed straight on top of him. I thought that's where he got the concussion because his head whipped back and hit the back of the head.
It was another play where I think his head hit the back. But yeah, I mean, at that point, I was upset, but it was like, at this point, who cares? To me, the game was literally over when Purdy went out. Jay Dizzy says, same people who want Kyle fired never seem to criticize Jim Harbaugh for going 0-1 in the Super Bowl and 1-3 in the NFC Championship games. But Jim's still a very good coach. That's interesting. Coinster makes a donation. He says, consider this. Without that Purdy injury, there wouldn't have been a Josh Johnson fumble and a gift touchdown to the Eagles. That play cemented the trajectory of the game. Prior to that, the game was close.
I mean, the Sue one, I'm now watching the Sue one. The Sue one, arguably, also he landed on the quarterback.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, what the hell?
But they felt like his legs the weight of his legs were not on the quarterback. But
like the way that if they called that, Mike Pereira would have came in the booth and just said, well, technically that is but that's how they were calling shit all day. I mean, it's just
Trader Chris says you don't call long developing play action, period. That was one of the breakdowns when I went into the deep dive preparing to do the pregame show. One of the things that I saw in my research was that the Eagles were awesome this year against play action pass. And the reason they're so good against play action pass is that they have such dominant big body defensive tackles in the middle that their ends don't play run at all. Their ends are just tearing up field, trying to get the quarterback. So if you have a play action pass, that will typically freeze the linemen and make them kind of stop and start. It doesn't work against teams where they're not reading run or pass. They're just shooting up the field and allowing their tackles and linebackers to play the run. So, I mean, that's kind of, credit Garmin or whatever. Jonathan Garmin, is that his name?
Jonathan Gannon.
Mm-hmm. The defensive coordinator. Yeah. Gannon.
Good plan. They had a good plan.
Yeah, I gotta say also, I'm like, there's just so many Eagles. I get it. Like when you win a big game like this, you just want to consume all the media possible. There's a lot of Eagles fans in here, like, stop complaining, cat. Oh, you guys just got beat. I mean, I'll just say this. Like, I mean, we've seen a lot of title runs with the Warriors and if the Warriors played, like OKC or something like that in the finals, their entire conference finals, and the whole year, like they were the exact same teams, and then Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and all these guys got injured. Like, it's just like, whatever, it's like, I'm not going to not accept the win. It's just on to the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to do any gloating. And, just know that the Houston Texans with either of their starting quarterbacks would have had a very similar result. There's no way the Niners would have beaten the Houston Texans. So,
well, and the Niners are not, could the Niners have beaten the Eagles yesterday? Possibly. But there was no chance they were ever going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in their stadium with all their talent, with their fourth string quarterback. It's never going to happen.
That's what drives me crazy. Like, just I did a couple shows with Eagles podcasters and fans. I've been going a little banter back and forth, and they're comparing their Super Bowl victory with Nick Foles to the 49ers' inability to win a playoff game with Josh Johnson. And I'm like, how could you even draw that comparison? First of all, Nick Foles is a backup and a good backup. Josh Johnson is an NFL journeyman, played for half the league, was in the XFL like 2 years ago. Those are comparing apples to
oranges.
oranges.
Didn't Nick Foles
They're not
have a 27 touchdown? With
the Raiders, I thought, right? Didn't he play with the
Eagles?
Oh,
before he came back.
Yeah, with Chip Kelly.
Rated.
Did he have a game with the
I thought he had
Eagles
27. I'm going to look it up. I think it was
like
27 touchdowns, 3 picks, something like that.
Yeah. Man, that's just not even comparable. The Josh Johnson's an XFL quarterback. We just didn't get to see a competitive game.
Yeah. Also, another thing is, like, people keep saying, like, oh, well, they're just, when have we seen? I mean, there has to be a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that 4 quarterbacks got hurt. It's like, well, nobody else has made it this far with this many quarterback injuries. Nobody else has gone into these kind of backups have to come in conference championship games all the time, but it's just never.
Nick Foles in 2013, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in
so
13
crazy.
games.
That's
with
crazy.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
I mean, he got hot. He was like Joe Flacco. I mean, that's the thing. He was like Joe Flacco.
That was years before that, actually, right? Because didn't he go to the Super Bowl in 2018, wasn't it? Or 2017?
Yeah.
This was 20. This was a couple years before that, even.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I mean, not every backup's as good as every other backup. Like when Jimmy Garoppolo went down in the Miami game, I wasn't even really like crushed because I was like, you know what? I kind of saw minicamp. I saw training camp. I thought Brock Purdy was more accurate. I'm like, Ryan, this is interesting. It's gotten interesting now. And then he came in and played well. But it was not like just like this whole next man up. That's a bunch of crap.
So
it depends who your next man is, I mean, Josh Johnson, if anything, you want to criticize the Niners for getting rid of Jacob Eason and staying with Josh Johnson when Jacob Eason is 6'6" with an awesome arm and maybe has some talent, some NFL future. And I'm not sure why they did that.
Or there was my guy Anthony Gordon, Washington State product, Terra Nova High School, my alma mater. Yeah. We
I liked him.
To high school together.
Kansas City.
Look at the numbers. He was second collegiately behind Joe Burrow in every statistical category. And I don't think anybody got screwed over more than COVID and not having a preseason, not having a combine than Anthony Gordon, because he was a legit prospect. Went undrafted, signed with the Chiefs.
You know who loved him?
Who's that?
The late Mike Leach.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. The late Loved Mike him. Leach. He gave Gordo, as we like to call him, a shot out of City College. Is one big scholarship offer, and he made the most out of that
Leach on the radio, and I'm like, tell me about Gordon, and he went on and on and on, and I'm looking at the other hosts. We're all looking at each other. I'm like, wow, man, he loves Anthony Gordon. And G-Code Travels Vlog says 49ers should pull a Carlos Correa and get Lamar Jackson.
Nah, he'll get injured.
Where's Lamar going to go? Okay, I got to ask you guys. I teased this a while ago, and then we got into the chats. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Is the reason I bring these guys up, before you start shaking your head, no. There's a chance. We know Purdy's going to be out at least 6 months. Some people are saying that's a much longer injury than 6 months. Trey Lance has still had a second surgery. He's still not, anywhere close to playing. So you got these two young quarterbacks. You have a Super Bowl contending team in a conference that sucks. Outside of Philly, who's the best team in this conference going forward? Detroit? Dallas? The Rams? I mean,
it's still
the conference is weak. They're absolutely weak. If Tom Brady wants to play here, do you do it? If Aaron Rodgers and the Packers said we'll give you Rodgers for a first in 2024, do you give up the first and take Rodgers?
What do
they do next year at quarterback? What do the Niners do? Who's in that quarterback room next year? Give me 3 names.
If Rodgers is down to like extremely take a pay cut, then sure. But and Tom Brady, I mean, he's a free agent. I actually feel like he might sign for not as much to go to San Francisco because
Rap Sheet says he's going to take 30. It's going to take 30 million or more. I don't agree. I think it's going to be more like half that.
I mean, Rodgers is due $60 million next year, so I'd take 30.
He's talking about Brady specifically.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't give up the draft capital to get Aaron Rodgers, and I honestly can't say definitively that Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady gives the 49ers a better chance to win than either Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. I was not that impressed with what I saw from them this year, but what I do think is that the 49ers owe it to those guys in the locker room that have just experienced heartbreaking defeat after heartbreaking defeat to seriously explore bringing in a Tom Brady. I wouldn't consider Rodgers giving up the draft capital, and Tom Brady has the reputation of being a team first guy to take a pay cut to keep more talent around. And I think that Tom Brady would come here for $15 million if that other $15 million goes to Caleb McGarry to improve the right tackle spot, right? Like I can see Tom Brady thinking that way, coming back home to the Bay Area. He'll take a pay cut. He has a championship roster. He's still the same competitor he is. He might not be the same player on the field, but he's the same exact competitor. And you can just tell. There was that HBO Paramount where they show him mic'd up, and you just hear the defeat in his voice. He's trying to rally up the Buccaneers and get them going. He's still fiery. And the team was just, they were defeated. And he was trying to get them to fire up. So knowing that Tom Brady's the competitor that the way he is, I 100% would bring him in on a 1-year deal, $15 million, because I think he would do it. And then you make that team around him better. I think that's pretty realistic. And if you were to ask me this going into Sunday's game, I'd say no, Brock Purdy and Trey Lance are going to duke it out. But now knowing what we know with 6-month recovery just to start going again for Brock Purdy, Trey Lance unable to recover, I would go in on Brady, try to sell him on the $15 million, whatever it is, negotiate, and then we are going to improve this offensive line for you, Tom, for you. We got the weapons, a lot's in place here. I think that would be great.
What's interesting too about the Brady thing, and think about it logically. Why does Tom want to play here? He wants to play here probably because I think he wants to live here. I think now, who knows? He's lived in other places, Boston, Florida, New York, I'm sure. But I think that he would like to live here. He knows that if he wins a Super Bowl with the 49ers, that's going to take him to a totally different level locally than he is right now, despite his incredible Hall of Fame career. So I think he would love to win a Super Bowl for his family and for his friends who are Niner fans. So the interesting thing, what is the only thing that would make Niner fans love Tom Brady more would be if he came here for hardly anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because then it's like, hey, man, this guy wants a win here so bad that he took whatever, some pittance amount of money to go do it. The guy's got more money than he needs, obviously. He's got network jobs coming. If he seriously, if he came to the Niners and said, hey, I want to win a Super Bowl, you want to win a Super Bowl, how about I'll come here for $5 million and you guarantee me that you go spend, $20 million and dig deep and put the best team around me you possibly can, and let's go and do this.
Yep.
I think that story got around to Niner fans and they got it done, Tom Brady would have a level of love and popularity in the Bay for the rest of his life, and that would be a legendary thing. I mean, it would be the best money he ever didn't make.
Exactly. No, and you're saying a lot of great points. I mean, his parents, first and foremost, live in the same house he grew up in San Mateo. Like, his family's here, right? And we know what happened with him and Giselle, and he probably needs to be around a strong support system. He was going through it this season. And I think I buy that there might have been a little bit of Kyle Shanahan, the egos, the Tom Brady, Kyle Shanahan egos going at it when he hit the market in 2020. I do buy that a little bit. But now it's a little bit of Kyle Shanahan being like, Tom, you need us too. You need us because you had a miserable experience in Tampa Bay this past year. And if you go back to them or whoever else, they do not have the same pieces we have in place right now. So it's not just the 49ers need Tom Brady. He's going to put us over. It's a little bit of Tom Brady needs the 49ers if he wants to have a legitimate shot of winning the Super Bowl. So I think since that's getting smoothed out, you got me fired up talking about this, Larry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously, because every good relationship is predicated on two people who need each other.
Yes,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
And Brady's been circling this like a dead animal carcass in the Sahara. This is the most ideal. He was the one guy that was like ecstatic with the Niners losing, other than Eagles fans, because now it opens the doors. I mean, in 2019, Lynch called about Brady originally. And people were like, oh, haha, jokes. But Lynch was like, no, I was serious. And then they got Jimmy G. And then when Brady was available and he wanted to be a Niner, they were coming off a Super Bowl year and Jimmy stayed healthy.
With Jimmy G.
What are you going to do? And then, but now.
And they had every reason, Ryan, to think that Brady would never play that long. Nobody's ever played.
No. He was coming off a very similar situation to this year in his last year in New England. He didn't have the weapons. He kind of, I don't want to say he gave up, but he wasn't hanging in the pocket. He just looked like he was done. And this is the team. This is the exact dream situation. He has James White 10.0 with McCaffrey. He has the closest thing to Gronk.
Maybe Gronk would come.
Maybe Gronk would come. The only same age as Kelsey. And then he's just got weapons galore. He's just got to throw it across the middle. I don't think there would be anything with Shanahan. I think Shanahan would appreciate how, they would appreciate each other. They definitely would. And this defense, it's just a perfect recipe. And if you're Tom Brady, even if you didn't have any roots in San Francisco, this is 100% the move. Neither of you look bad. Because, even if Shanahan even if they go with Brady, it doesn't even create controversy because of Purdy and Trey being injured. I mean, it's too perfect. And what's
the alternative? Hang out in Vegas saying, God damn you, Alex Leatherwood?
I know. The most important thing that we're not even talking about, and I hope this can sway all the 49ers fans out there. I remember back in 2019 or 2018, I think, I tweeted that I would trade 4 first-rounders for Brady solely to have Alex Guerrero in the building. Think about how freaking injured and what a revamp this Niners training staff needs. I mean, what the hell? Get whatever they're doing, whatever witch magic, whatever witch doctors, get them in here. Belichick didn't want him in there. Get him in here. Shanahan's going to be down. Lynch is going to be down. All they want All
Avocado ice
the
cream.
players want is just to stay healthy and have a legitimate shot, with the decks not stacked against them.
Yeah, no question. David Hasselhoff says Harbaugh never had a losing season. Harbaugh went to the playoffs every year and got fired after an 8-8 season. We have been top 10 drafts 3 times with Kyle Shanahan. Tavarius. Trey got hurt running right. Jimmy got hurt scrambling right. Brock got hurt by a pass rusher. All the right side. Fix the right side, Kyle. Well, it's easy to say that when you got Trent on the other side. Coinster says, anyone else curious how that CMC Wildcat quarterback offense might have unfolded? He was putting on the quarterback helmet and ready to do it. Didn't he throw one pass?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Didn't look good.
I did not look good. But
it did not look good.
I know. I felt some blood flow go down though when I saw him putting on the helmet. I was like, this is just the changeup they need. But I think it's just it would have been too crazy.
Mole's in the house. He says, cheers to witch magic. Yes. The great Mole in the house.
Love you, Mole.
Well, we got another one here from Tervarius. He says, hate to say it, fellas, but this was karma for when Trey got hurt. Remember Silver's article, players saying we are back to 49ers football? I mean, with Purdy, they were back to 49er football? I don't know. I mean, obviously, I didn't like the way Trey got hurt at all. I didn't like running the quarterback between the tackles at all. Said it at the time. We'll hold to it. Trey would have improved for sure and will improve. What I'm really eager to see is when they get back on the field, what did Trey, who obviously has so many gifts for this game and a desire to get better, how much did he learn this year from just watching another rookie quarterback operate the team? He wants it so bad, and he's so athletic and such a great prospect. The one thing you always wonder is how important is football to them? Well, the road scouts that I know who rolled up through there in Fargo said that Trey Lance is all about football. And I've seen nothing and heard nothing from anybody that makes me think otherwise. So when you're really smart and really athletic and you're all about football, you're going to get there. How much better will he be next time he hits the field?
Wasn't it Trey Lance where they were documenting like his iPad hours? Was that him? Where they were tracking how engaged he was on his iPad, if I remember correctly. But I'm with you. He has all the intangibles. The brain's there. He wants to be good at football. He seems like a football lifer. So it's unfortunate. It's just so unfortunate his first 2 years in the league. Well, I get not playing him over Garoppolo the first year, but this year it was just bad break.
I'm getting people saying I'm switching up on Trey. Anybody who actually knows me knows that I was the guy saying, go get Trey on draft day. Trader Chris, here's what I do. Keep Jimmy G, trade everyone else, and trade up in the draft for Will Levis. We win 4 Super Bowls in a row. We have dogs at wide receiver not being used.
Will Levis was miserable a lot of the season in the SEC.
I know. I watched him at Kentucky, and I thought, this guy's going to go first in the draft? First? Will Levis? That's why when I watch Will Levis, you know what I think to myself? Somebody's going to call the 49ers on draft day about Trey Lance. Because if Will Levis is that high of a prospect, I don't.
Anthony Richardson, he's like mocked as like a top 10 guy. That guy needs another year of college.
I know. A couple last ones before we go, because we're in almost 90 minutes in here. Trader Chris says, after those Seahawks are building something special, and thanks to the stupid Broncos giving them their draft, great talent evaluation, we have to win now. There's no question. John Schneider had as good a draft as anybody in the NFL this year. He found 2 corners, 2 tackles, and a Pro Bowl running back. I mean, that's pretty good. And other guys. But I mean, that's part of what he got. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you guys see it? I see Seattle over the Rams or Cardinals. I don't care who the Cardinals get. What that organization is just what it is. And the Rams have an older roster that's going to turn over here in the next few years. I like Seattle as the primary competition in the division.
I hate Seattle, and it pains me to say anything positive about them. It's my Dallas Cowboys, right? They have all those championship games, NFC championship game, but they are in a much better, I wouldn't say better position long-term, but you look at what they have in place and the draft picks they hit on this past year and the cap space they have available. They have 2 stellar rookie tackles. They have a stellar rookie cornerback. And they have all those draft picks. Like, I'm nervous that Seattle's going to strike big in the coming years and just go on another 5 to 10 year run. They're in a good position right now. You got to feel great about where they're at if you're a Seahawks fan.
It is nice though. The Niners, like, finally the NFC West is like not what it once was. Actually, it's hilarious that the NFC East is so tough. But, and I'll say this, I don't, to give props to the Eagles, I think the thing that makes this Eagles thing kind of, I guess, remarkable is just the fact that, they've gone now with Sirianni, they've gone with Doug Peterson, they've gone with Foles, they've gone with Jalen Hurts. I think I guess you could say they have the best front office, the best organizational structure in the league. Because I honestly don't think Sirianni's that good of a coach. I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good of a quarterback. I think that this is truly, truly an organizational win by them. And they have another top, 10 draft pick next year because of that stupid Saints trade. So, good on them. They, whatever.
That lad's banned forever. Damn it, Larry! You just got me fired up for old man Brady, and I hate you for it.
Hey,
love that one. Trader
I
Chris.
second that. I'm
not excited about Brady. Tons of quarterbacks in this draft. All right, but I mean, is that what you want on 3rd young quarterback? I mean, seriously, do you just keep drafting young quarterbacks? Mole, cheers to Witch Magic. I think we already got that one. I don't know. Maybe you said it again. Possibly. I'm just trying to get towards the end of here we go. Greg T. Hey, Larry, thanks for taking it to Grant. You the man. I didn't take it to anybody. I don't want to blame Shanahan. Grant does. I get it. And it's not that I'm afraid to blame Shanahan. I just don't think it's appropriate to blame Shanahan. And he kind of is going down that road, and I get it. And he's invested in his position, and I get it. And I think I'm right. So whatever. And as far as, the Trey Lance stuff, believe what you want to believe. The people who know me and follow me, and Rye's been doing live streams with me the entire year. I love Trey Lance. I was all about Trey Lance. I love Trey Lance more than Mac Jones, more than Justin Fields. I liked Zach Wilson too. And Zach Wilson's looked terrible this year with the Jets. And Trey Lance obviously has not come of age yet, but I still like Trey Lance. And I think I kind of see Trey Lance the way I saw Alex Smith, just an incredible prospect, but he's not there yet, right? He came out of Utah. He graduated college with an econ degree in like 2 years. He set the record for the Wonderlic test. I'm talking about Alex Smith now. And he had all kinds of 6'4", 225, incredibly athletic, very, very smart, football family. His uncle was the head coach at Michigan State, John L. Smith, and he was a football guy, and it was important to him. And smart, athletic, tough. Urban Meyer said he was great. All this stuff. I really, my evaluation at the time was I like Alex Smith as a prospect, but he needs to be brought from A to B to C to D. He had a lot of growth that needed to happen there. He did that work. He became a near Super Bowl winning prospect with the Chiefs. Then, of course, we all know how the injury that he suffered and how his career went. But Alex Smith was on a great trajectory. He was fulfilling his potential. I think Trey Lance is going to get there, but it's going to be like that Alex Smith kind of trajectory where there's going to be some bumpy roads early, and then he's going to get better. And then he's going to get better and better and better and better. And he's got a great skill set and a great combination of traits. And I think he's going to get there, and it makes me scared as hell to trade him. But I don't know that he's great as a backup quarterback, and I don't know that he's ready to play right now. And it seems like the Niner fans are super impatient, so he doesn't seem like a good fit with the 49ers. That's how I feel.
Right, Trader Chris, this is an interesting thing to go out on. Yes, look what we did with Purdy, young, talented quarterback in the system. Plus, we can address needs under the cap. Brady, you mortgage your future. I just don't think I was totally with the Purdy, go with Purdy and Lance. It seemed awesome. They could make this roster even more stacked. Think about just all the dead money that, from Jimmy. But I don't think that it's going to mortgage your future to bring in Tom Brady. I think he'll do the LeBron. He'll sign for a year. Feel it out. I honestly think he probably feels like it's kind of a guaranteed it's a guaranteed at least trip to the. I mean, the NFC is not that good. I don't know if we're forecasting again next year. I don't see why it wouldn't be. It's going to be Niners, Dallas, and the Eagles again, and now Mike McCarthy's calling plays. So I don't know.
The Brady factor could go from like I agree with Nick. Going into Sunday's game, I have always been intrigued by Brady, but I was like, no, don't go down that road. Stay with the kid. Just keep building around the kid on the rookie contract, especially when I saw that it's been 5 straight years that we've seen somebody basically go to the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. So I didn't love the idea, but now with injuries to Trey and to Purdy and this still being a championship roster and Shanahan and Lynch that much more desperate to win a ring, to be made men in the Niner kingdom. I just think that Brady makes sense now. I think Nick said it well. He needs them, they need him. It's like kind of a, it's not just a one-sided deal. So I think it makes sense.
The beauty for everybody out there that hates Kyle in the chat, just think about this. If they get Brady and they go on to win the Super Bowl, you all can say, look, Kyle never did it without Brady. It was all Brady. Brady was running the offense. It was all Brady. It was not Kyle. You can have that take, which is kind of awesome. Also,
look at this one. Brady will demand number 16. That's it. He's gone. He's not getting 16.
Yeah. What if he
have 12, right? Or no, is that Brody? What was Brody?
12.
12. Now Brody can't go with Brody. Can't go with 12.
What do you think? I mean, if he could even just get Purdy and Lance on a training program and get him eating avocado ice cream and all that kind of crap, it'd totally be worth it.
What a quarterback room that would be, man. That you could turn that quarterback room. And you know what? Brian Greasy was his teammate at Michigan.
If you added up
Greasy, Brady, Lance, and Purdy all in one room talking ball.
If you added up Trey Lance and Purdy's age, what is it compared to Brady?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think they might be younger than him. 23 plus 22, right? 45.
Yeah, 45.
Hey,
that's crazy.
At the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan leads an offense that has run pass balance. Tom Brady in his last game with Tampa, they ran it 14 times. They threw it 66 times. I think he would love to be a 49er. Nick, we're going to let you go, brother. Awesome. Tell people if people want to check you out. Of course, we want to make sure it's Niner Nick _22. Real easy to remember on Twitter. Niner Nick _22. I used to give Mark Willard so much crap about his because it was like Mark _Willard _ it's like, come on, Mark.
I wish I could have the handle just Niner Nick, but someone that hasn't used Twitter since like 2009 has the handle reserved. So there's only so much you can do,
But tell Nick, hey man, I love your videos. Keep them rolling. We'd love to have you back on the chat. I love your vibe, man. And good luck to you. If there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know. But we'd love to have you on future live streams and appreciate your time tonight. I'm sorry we took so much of it, but it was fun to have you here, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, Larry.
Take care, Nick.
Nick Newman, the great Nick Newman. Niner Nick. He's very cool. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And it's just, you've seen his videos, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he gets into it. I mean, he gets totally into it. Let's do this. I'll play some spots. We'll come back. We'll have a couple final thoughts. Maybe should we throw a video call in there? You want to do a video call before we get out of here?
Let's do it.
Let's do a video call. There we go. Wait a second. Yeah, we'll do the video call. I'll put the video call in the chat, and then people can, if you want to jump in. We took some video calls earlier, and they're always a lot of fun. So we will we'll hit that. Let's see. There we go. Put it in the chat. Terror Dome. Chris Hansen says Terror Dome may call.
I could really go for that. I feel like he would have some good.
I need some Terror Dome right now. Yeah, we need us some Terror Dome. But first, before we get some Terror Dome, let's get some Dan Coach Emilio right here on the Krueg Show.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Crew. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coach Emilio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com, or it is number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Casera and the good people at Casera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Casera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Ryan Smith. Somebody says, "Where's Danny tonight?" You know, we invited Dan. I know he was asking me if we were going to talk Warriors or Niners, and I said we're going to talk Niners tonight. But the Warriors did play tonight. Did you watch any of Golden State tonight, Rye?
I did. I bet the Warriors -5. They looked pretty damn good from the jump, and they did.
They
good
won
job.
by 8, so you covered, huh?
Good job versus Gilgeous-Alexander. They were up pretty big the entire game. I think the Warriors are going to start rolling. By the way, I'm sorry to all the Kings fans out there, but I just put a massive bet down. Essentially, the bet is either Warriors, Clippers, or Suns to win the Pacific Division. Seems
Warriors, Clippers, or Suns.
Yeah, because right now the Kings are the favorite, +200.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think the Kings will hold on there.
Yeah, one of those three.
31 for Gilgeous-Alexander, and he had 7 assists.
He came on at the end of the game. Giddey looks incredible.
21 for Giddey. How about my man Isaiah Joe from Arkansas? He used to play for Musselman. He had 10 off the bench.
Extremely wet.
I love the way he shoots the rock, man. Isaiah Joe. It's just
Jalen
a beautiful
Williams.
shot.
Jalen Williams also just is so damn good. The Santa
Clara kid. Yeah, there's 2 Jalen Williams. There's the Arkansas Jalen Williams, and then there's Santa Clara. All right, let's go to Coinster here. Coinster, how are you?
Pretty good. I mean, good is a relative term after yesterday's. But I've been a Niners
terrible
fan
loss.
since the catch. Yeah, a freak show. Never seen anything like it. I was a little kid when I saw the catch, Dwight Clark, and I think I was raised on in the bottle, so it hurt me. But I feel like I've seen this movie before. Back in '94, the Niners couldn't get over the NFC Championship hump against a rival Dallas Cowboys team. They go out and they purchase one Deion Sanders, and flamboyant, not exactly Niner style personality, and things changed. And we now have Niner lore out of all that. So, to your point of Brady, imagine Kyle and Brady calling a truce, if as it were, and
I don't
Brady
think they have
comes
any
and
kind
saves
of
the day.
issue, do they?
I don't know what it is, but
I just think they're both
he would be
the
on
kind of
Mount
guys
Rushmore.
that are pretty cocky.
Brady would, Brady coming in and saving the day. He's going to be on the 49er Mount Rushmore after that. Kyle too. It will resuscitate any doubts. All the naysayers right now will be kissing the ring next year, guaranteed. If they pull that off, and I could see all of that happening just the way you laid it out. Brady saying, "What have I got to lose? I've got everything to win."
Sorry about that.
No
Didn't mean
problem.
that, Coinster. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Brady coming into yesterday, probably not a fit. But now with Purdy being hurt and Lance being hurt and them being inside their Super Bowl window, are they really going to put next year on the 2 young guys' abilities to rehab and then come up to speed and then stay healthy? Seems like Brady's almost like exactly what they need. They need a Super Bowl caliber quarterback who wants to hang out for a year. Oh, look, there's one sitting there. His name's Tom Brady. To me, it seems like a good fit. I don't know.
This is the end of the movie where the good guys are surrounded and it looks like it's doom, certain doom. And over the hillside comes the cavalry, Tom Brady on a white horse to save the day. Maybe that's a little theatrical, but I can.
No, I like it. Winston, where are you calling from? Are you a Bay guy? Are you from around the country somewhere?
I was raised in the Bay, but I live in SoCal right now.
Southern Cal.
So,
Gotcha.
But
hey, man, thanks for jumping in. We're going to jump, but I
Yeah.
appreciate you jumping into the stream.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just got
All
chills. White horse. I love it.
Coinster, the great Coinster in the house. Thank you, sir. Should we take one more? You want to take one
Let's
more?
take one more. We got one more. We got Johnny.
What's going on, Larry? How you
What's up,
doing,
Johnny? Say hi to Ryan.
So Larry, hey, what's going on, Ryan? How you doing?
What's up?
So Larry, I'm from San Mateo. I'm in Vegas. The Niners are favored to win the NFC next year with no quarterbacks. They're signing Brady.
Really?
Oh, that's all.
Here's the thing, Larry. You have to look at big picture here. I'm thinking of Lynch and York. I'm not thinking of Shanahan because at this point it doesn't matter. They're desperate to win a championship. They have a 4-year window. You're not going to trust Lance off a broken ankle off 4 career starts. You can't. Purdy is probably out a year. That injury is not good, and it's his throwing elbow. You really have no choice. And if they made a deal with Deion Sanders way back when, they're not going to make a deal with Brady.
I think it makes sense to make a deal with Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry, you look at the Buccaneers this year, they couldn't run the ball. They were 32nd in the league. You put Brady with a team that can run the ball, you put him with Kittle.
I like it.
For years, people have been saying Kittle with a good quarterback would be like Kelsey. It ain't going to get much better than Brady. You're going to have to fix the right side of your offensive line because every quarterback injury happened on the right side of the offensive line. You're either going to have to use all your compensatory picks on offensive linemen or you're going to have to sign someone. And not McGlinchey. No. You're going to have to fix the right tackle, fix the right guard, and you're fine. And get a center.
No, I totally think you're right. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the way that because
Johnny was breaking up on us there. Johnny, thanks for jumping in though, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Johnny. My thing is as a fan first, I need a way to rationalize this crap. So the Warriors losing 16 is that's the most painful sports experience I've experienced in my lifetime. But it led to Kevin Durant. So if this can lead to Tom Brady, this is also great news.
Maybe you wanted Durant as a kick blocker.
Yeah, no, maybe Durant. Purdy did not have a meltdown game. I thought for sure if they were going to lose, it was going to be Purdy was going to melt down, and then it's going to be an entire offseason of BS. And just no, Purdy gutted it out. Perfect completion percentage, no picks in the playoffs. Guy was a stud. I still count it as no losses on his record. No, I think that this is the way it's going to turn. It's bring in Alex Guerrero, man. Bring in Alex Guerrero. All of a sudden, the posse, people already want to play on the Niners. All of a sudden, Brady's going to have. I mean, if Brady comes to this team, everyone's going to want. Every free agent is going to be like, I'm down. Give me a 1 year. The Von Miller, like the way that Von Miller went to the Rams, it's going to be like that kind of thing. People are just going to give me a little taste of this Niners team because they're going to cruise to the playoffs. And I think Brady in a Niners uniform with this roster is the best quarterback in the NFC, unquestioned. So
let me see who their other free agents are in Tampa. Maybe he could bring somebody.
Ooh.
Well, it looks like, Brady, obviously. Let me see. Is this so Brady, maybe Levante David, Hakeem Hicks, Julio Jones, William Golston, and nobody incredible.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a free agent.
Who's that?
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Not with that, but
I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. My God, he had a couple of big hits yesterday. Johnny Granado says 4th and 1, scrum formation twice executed. We need to steal this. Of course, getting a right side strong enough. By the way, Brady would bring Gronk. Yeah, the scrum, the rugby scrum. We just move everybody going forward. It seems in some ways almost like an unstoppable short yardage play.
Well, with Jason Kelsey, he's so freaking short. He gets so low. What can you do?
I'll tell you, the guy that I was hoping the Niners would have used this year.
Jason
Poe.
Yeah.
How good would Jason Poe be in that situation?
Oh my God.
Thomas Scholl, Larry, Kobe, or LeBron, top 10 all time. I'm more of a Kobe guy than LeBron, but I mean, I can understand LeBron's greatness, and LeBron's a passer, and I don't know. There's something about LeBron bugs me, and he just seems like the kind of guy that stares at himself in a mirror for hours. I mean, and I
No,
just think that there's something
he
about.
pays people to stare at him, so he doesn't even have to stare at himself in the mirror.
I also was front and center for the Mambas, some of the Mambas' greatest moments. I sat courtside the night that Antoine Jameson and Kobe both went for 51.
That is so
Sitting courtside as those guys, and that was Kobe at his apex, where he was just. I mean, the Warriors. It wasn't like, oh, they didn't know who he was. No, they knew exactly who he was. They were draped all over him all night long, and he kept hitting big shot after big shot after big shot. Jameson's 51, of course, was very Jameson-like, right? He just kept all these floaters and putbacks and bunnies and 2-footers. It was not nearly as impressive. Kobe's 51 was like rise up over two guys and, jam it, baseline turnarounds. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
All right, I'll tell you right now, the kind of guy that's going to sign with them as a career rehabilitation project so that he then can get one more big contract. What do you think about Jadeveon Clowney in this offense, where all you got to do is rush, and he's not expected to be that guy?
Yeah, seriously, on a team where Bosa's getting all the attention, you put Jadeveon. He's all he really does is rush the passer. But in this situation, it might be perfect. Risque Galindo Durango says, before we think about getting Tom Brady, we need to fix our offensive line. Man, there just ain't no doubt about that.
I mean, this offensive line compared to what he had in Tampa this year, that offensive line was freaking horrible. So
yeah, I mean, that was a big part of it. I think also, I mean, with Shanahan's ability to call plays and Brady's ability to execute plays and all the weapons the Niners have, I think it potentially could be a very prolific season for Tom Brady here.
Oh, yeah. It would be the perfect go out on top, right into the sunset.
How cool would it be to be able to interview Brady in the locker room?
Oh, I know.
Though we would probably never get near him. We would probably be a podium-only kind of a guy.
But you know what it would mean? It means we're back in the Purdy corner, baby.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting these Purdy interviews that nobody else is getting. Tom goes down in week 10, and it's Purdy time again.
Oh,
that would be something. Yaffe says trade for Sauce Gardner.
I don't think that's happening.
Oh, I would love. How good would Sauce Gardner be?
I mean, it'd be incredible.
Hey, the Jets have to go for a quarterback somewhere.
I know. It seems like Rodgers might be Rodgers.
So who's your pick? You picking Kansas City or Philly?
I'm picking Philly.
Really?
I thought Philly and the Niners were the two best teams. That's why it sucks to say that because I don't want to give Philly anything because it's like they essentially played Gonzaga's schedule, then got into the tournament and got to play a bunch of teams that upset. They got to play a 15 seed in the Elite Eight, Final Four. Yeah.
But then the head coach for their team that they played to advance it to the Elite Eight was, incapacitated. Or the point guard fell out of bounds or something.
Combusted.
All right. Well, hey, thanks to everybody in the chat. We have a bunch of people still hanging out in the chat. We have over 400 people still in the room. We are approaching, I know this is crazy because I didn't even put out an email yet thanking everybody for helping us reach 12,000. And we are already almost at 13,000 subs on the Krueg show. Let me see exactly where we sit right now. But yeah, I mean, I can't thank the people enough. We put out a ton of content. Yeah, we're at 12,676 subscribers. We were just at 12,000 like 2.5 days ago. So we've picked up 676 total subscribers. I would also advise go check out my YouTube channel for some of the videos because my son Kevin has turned some of our videos into shorter versions of the live streams.
Snackable
and
content.
I got him working hard now. He's cut a deal where he's getting paid by the views.
Ooh.
So yeah, I mean, I've got the kid making money down at Cal Poly. So yeah, if you're not subscribed, 6,000 or 12,678 subscribers right now. If you're one of the 416 people still hanging out in the room, if you could hit like, that would help us. That helps the algorithm, right, Ryan? People find us, and then hit subscribe. And we're going live almost every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day. Today I went live 3 times, once on Grant's channel, once right now, of course, and then earlier today we went live. We did some video calls and had Jordan Elliott on out of the blue, kind of contact Jordan right there, and then decided as we were going live, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll send him an email. So I sent him a thing, and he's like, yeah, I'm around right now. So he jumped in. Then we did video calls. So we're going to do a lot of content. We'll do a lot of Warrior content. We're going to do a lot of Giant content. I got a podcast coming up, a Giants podcast starting on the Believe Podcast Network. That's going to come up, and I'll be on there with a former Giant player. We're not yet ready to tell you who that is, but we've got some ideas of people that we might put on. If you have ideas for anybody you'd like me to do, a former Giant would like me to do a San Francisco Giants based podcast with, feel free to drop me that information in any capacity, online, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere where you can reach out to me. I'm pretty accessible, Facebook, wherever, and just tell me what ex-Giant you would like to have me do the podcast with. Fire Kyle now, says Will Clark. So that would be great. How incredible would that be?
Yeah, and then also I think we're just going to kind of feel it out, see how things go, because I'm super down to, let's just keep doing streams. I think people need the therapy. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh no, don't leave us to our thoughts." I feel
don't leave us to our thoughts.
I really feel you. We still have that Airbnb booked. We have until the 5th to cancel it. I think
Do we go to the Super Bowl? Yeah. Do we take the show on the road to the Super Bowl? I don't know if I can deal with all those Eagles people and all that. It's like, I don't.
But we also might have like all the talk sport guys, and we can commiserate about the Niners, and maybe we just root really hard against the Eagles.
I know. I got to think that over. That would be interesting.
I
mean, if I could get the sponsor to pay for it, maybe that would be something that we could do. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I got to think that one over.
A week.
Clarsard says Krueg show Airbnb party in Arizona. Could you imagine?
I know.
My wife goes online. She sees the Airbnb Krueg show backyard party in Arizona with a pool.
Oh my God.
It has a pool, right?
It has a pool. It has a little putting thing. We've got a barbecue for sausages. We have a whole nother extra room with 2 bunk beds. So 4 total full-size beds that are just not in use. And
it might not be bad to just try to do just the road trip with the van with a couple stops, and then maybe we do a couple days in Arizona instead of doing the whole week.
Take the van, Coach Emilio.
Pasquale's special guest. Yeah, Carsard. All right. Here we go. Waste management golf tournament. Yeah, that's right. Right. At the Phoenix Open.
Yeah, just not even go for the Super Bowl.
Dude, I would love to go just hang out in the gallery at the Waste Management.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely do that.
We could just get lit, just absolutely lit in the gallery.
Yeah,
live streaming. Can we live stream from the Waste Management golf tournament?
Why not? No rules there.
God. I got to think that over, man. All right, guys. Hey, good live stream. Thanks to the 400 people still in the chat. Thanks to Nick Newman. Thanks to Rye. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our sponsors. Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle.